Welcome back to Old Charles. Today we are talking about the 1980 penny, the 1-cent coin from the United States. This is a coin that many of us have seen countless times. It sits in jars and car cup holders and at the bottom of purses everywhere. But what is the real story behind this common coin? Is it just a piece of metal worth 1 cent, or could it be something more? Could a 1980 penny be valuable? That is the question we are going to answer in extreme detail right now. First, let us set the stage. The year is 1980. The United States Mint was producing pennies in massive numbers. The primary mint facilities in Philadelphia and Denver were working around the clock to produce these small copper coins for commerce, but the composition of the penny had recently changed. Prior to 1982, the penny was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, but the rising price of copper made it so that the metal in a penny was almost worth more than 1 cent. So in 1982 the mint switched to a primarily zinc core with a thin copper plating. However, our coin today, the 1980 penny, falls squarely in the pre-1982 era, meaning it is one of the last of the high copper pennies. So what is a 1980 penny made of? It is 95% copper and 5% zinc. It has a diameter of 19 millimeters and weighs 311 grams. This weight is a key identifier, because if you find a 1980 penny that feels light, it might be an error coin, but we will get to errors soon. The design is the familiar Lincoln Memorial reverse, which was introduced in 1959, replacing the wheat ears design. The obverse features the profile of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor D. Brenner, and the reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. Now let us talk about mints. Every coin has a mint mark that tells you where it was made. This is crucial for determining value for the 1980 penny. There are two main mint varieties: the 1980 penny with no mint mark and the 1980D penny with a D mint mark. The no mint mark penny was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. The D mint mark signifies the Denver Mint. The San Francisco Mint did not produce pennies for circulation in 1980. They only produced proof coins for collectors' sets. So how many were made? The mints produced a lot of these coins. We are talking about astronomical numbers. Here are the mintage figures. The 1980 Philadelphia penny no mint mark had a mintage of 710, 814, 5000 coins, that is 7,108,145,000 pennies. The 1980 Denver penny had a mintage of 517, 564, 4000 coins, that is 5,175,644,000 pennies. These are huge numbers, which immediately tells us that most 1980 pennies are very common. Now we get to the heart of the matter. What is a 1980 penny worth? Let us break this down into several categories, starting with the value of a circulated coin. A circulated coin is one that has been used in everyday transactions. It has wear and tear, scratches, loss of detail, and maybe even dirt. If you have a standard 1980 penny that you just found in your change, its value is primarily in its metal content. Because it is a copper coin, the intrinsic metal value is higher than its face value. As of the time of this recording, the value of the copper in a pre-1982 penny is about 2 to 3 cents. So just in the metal alone, your 1980 penny is worth more than 1 cent. However, it is illegal to melt down us pennies for their metal content, so you cannot legally do that, but this metal value does create a floor for the coin numismatically. However, a typical worn 1980 penny is still just worth 1 cent if you try to spend it, but if you try to sell it to a coin dealer as a collectible, they will likely only offer you its face value or a small premium if you are selling a large bag of them for their copper value. But what about uncirculated coins? An uncirculated coin is one that never entered commerce. It was saved from the mint. It has no wear. It has its original luster and full detail. These can have a small premium over face value. For a standard 1980 Philadelphia or Denver penny in uncirculated condition, you might be able to sell it for 10 to 25 cents, perhaps even 50 cents if it is in a pristine mint state. But because there are so many of them saved in rolls and collections, the value is not high. Now we move to the exciting part, the error coins and varieties. This is where a common 1980 penny can become valuable. The mint produces billions of coins and mistakes happen. These mistakes are highly sought after by collectors. Let us go over the key errors and varieties for the 1980 penny. First is the 1980D penny with a filled D mint mark. This is a popular variety, sometimes called the 1980D filled die penny. On this variety, the D mint mark appears to be filled in or blob-like. It is not sharp and clear. This is caused by a clogged die where grease or debris filled the cavity for the mint mark during the striking process. These coins are not extremely rare, but they are popular with variety collectors. A circulated 1980D filled D penny might be worth $1 to $2, while an uncirculated one could be worth $3 to $5. Another variety is the 1980 small date penny. This is more commonly associated with the 1982 pennies, but there are slight date variations. Every year a small date variety for 1980 would have A smaller and differently shaped date than the standard large date. Identifying this requires comparing the size and positioning of the digits 1980 against a known standard example. This variety is not widely recognized for 1980, so its value is minimal unless it is coupled with another error. One of the most famous error types is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank the planchet is not properly centered between the dies. When it is struck, the design is stamped off to one side, leaving a of the coin. For any clips or odd shapes, hold the coin by its edge and see if the design is centered. Now let us talk about grading. The condition of the coin is everything. A coin graded MS65 red by a professional service is worth much more than a coin that is worn brown and scratched. MS stands for mint state, and red means it still has its original red copper color. A 1980 penny in MS65 red condition might be worth $2 to $3 even though it is a common date because of its superb state of preservation. The story of the 1-cent piece is the story of America itself. It is a narrative woven from copper and zinc, politics and economics, war and peace. Our journey begins not in 1980 but in the late 18th century, in the formative years of the United States. After the Revolution, the new nation struggled with a chaotic monetary system. Foreign coins circulated freely and commerce was difficult. The founding fathers knew a uniform national coinage was essential to sovereignty and to commerce. So with the Coinage Act of 1792 the United States Mint was born, and with it the first 1-cent coin. This very first cent was not the small coin we know today. It was a large coin about the size of a modern half-dollar. It was made of pure copper and featured a chain of 15 links on the reverse. This chain design was almost immediately controversial, seen by many as a symbol of slavery, and was quickly replaced. This early change highlighted a truth that would follow the cent for centuries. It is a coin that reflects the national mood. It mirrors the country's identity. The large cent persisted for 60 years, its design evolving from flowing hair to liberty caps to braided coronets, but it was cumbersome and expensive to produce. The rising cost of copper eventually forced a change. In 1857 the mint introduced a new smaller cent made of a copper-nickel alloy. This was the Flying Eagle cent, a beautiful and short-lived design. It was quickly replaced by the Indian head cent, which circulated throughout